Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about exactly what I want you to bring to the Thesis Packet conference, which will follow the value paper conference where I go over your graded value paper. First, I'd like to say that you were all so very, very prompt last time. I was very impressed. Be equally prompt this time. Now, I don't really grade these things per se, these outlines, for obvious reasons. They are more things that I am asking you to do to prepare for our conference, to kind of get you started, particularly as far as the architecture goes, for this fact paper, so you don't get behind. I will always offer my 2 cents, and that's a good thing. So make sure you're prompt, as you all have been. Make sure you bring something to take notes, and you all have done that. And then I will simply ask you to read probably your thesis and your topic sentences. So this is what I need you to do. Make sure, that you have looked at the 2 fact samples before conference. Please do this. I kind of want you to see physically how this paper is going to look. It will be the introduction, the concession, the 7 body paragraphs, the conclusion. Then on a separate piece of paper, your note page. And on a separate piece of paper, your appendix page. And are y'all listening to this on separate pages, not on the conclusion page or any other page, your works cited pages? And you all better learn your MLA, and we're going to make sure you do that because none of you know it. You're trusting the computer to tell you. One of the things, just sidebar here before I digress too much, is that every journal needs to look like every other journal, every dissertation, and you need to make sure it matches up with that MLA sheet. So make sure that you look at the 2 samples. And secondly, find a diagram or a chart. Now, we may get another one, but have one in mind from the journals. So you're going to come on time, and you're going to come with prepared to take notes, and I want you to have this outline ready. So if I quiz you about it, or more importantly, just have you add things to it, you might have, say, a page per paragraph, however you want to do it. So in this outline, I want to see your thesis first of all, and I thought I would demonstrate this with school dropouts. And here is my thesis. School dropouts are mostly, I think we need to have a qualifier, caused by the cultural environment as evidenced by socioeconomic status, urban living, and absenteeism when young, period. I need your thesis to be one succinct, distilled, honed, crystallized sentence. Subject, argumentative edge. I like as evidenced by is that suture phrase, and then 3 of your 7. 3 specific, concrete, logical reasons. I'll read it again. School dropouts are mostly caused by the cultural environment as evidenced by socioeconomic status, urban living, and absenteeism when young. That now leaves us with 9 sentences. So I would like you to give me 3 or 4 things you intend to do in your lead-in. This is important. We don't want any more inappropriate lead-ins where you start arguing your thesis or blah, blah, blah. And I want about 3 citations at least in your lead-in. I would like to know how many dropouts there are in the United States. Again, U.S. centered. And if we can say that it's an epidemic, that makes the argument more significant. You don't get to throw that word in, but if your research, your book, or your dissertation, or journal articles argue that dropouts is an epidemic. Please get that in. I'd like a definition. I'd like you to perhaps catalog some of the consequences or effects of dropping out. This is a cause paper, so the effects would be good. Unemployment. In other words, if you drop out, you're unemployed, you're poor, you have health risks. So a definition, how many, the word epidemic, catalog the consequences, and then give me what I call a transitional sentence or a bridge sentence, and then your thesis. So give me 3 or 4 things you want to do in your lead-in and your thesis. Then we go to the concession, and since we're arguing in our thesis, it's the culture, the cultural environment, or in other words, constituents in the culture. That means that we're going to hit on the biological. And we can say, however, some research suggests, or in your concession, just give me the fact that some people have biological disabilities. That would be learning disabilities that also relate to emotional disturbances and intellectual disabilities. And secondly, you can talk about the dysfunctional family, particularly families that have addiction, alcoholism, drug addiction, or violence, or sexual abuse. This would certainly contribute to, it's not catching, it doesn't cause it, but it would contribute to the dropout. So we're arguing the culture, which means in this particular argument, in our concession, we'd have the biological and then the dysfunctional. Dysfunctional family and the biological disabilities, which also are very much concomitant and related to the emotional and intellectual. So we have Roman numeral 1, the introduction, with A, the lead-in, and B, the thesis, and Roman numeral 2, the concession, and Roman numeral 3, I want your 7 body paragraph topic sentences. And mine are juvenile arrests, would be 1, cause dropouts. Inner city living would be the 2nd. Low socioeconomic status would be the 3rd. Discrimination with peers or otherwise would be 4. Familial structures, such as divorce or single mom or just neglect of the kids themselves, would be 5. Teen pregnancy would be 6. Absenteeism when young would be 7. So I'm very interested in your 7 topic sentences. The thesis and the topic sentences is really kind of the scaffolding, if you will, of this entire paper. And then I'd like you to block 1 body paragraph, and I did with familial structures, and I talked about how non-traditional families oftentimes can foster, promote dropouts, divorce, single mom, where we got loss of income and probably loss of affection because there's so many things going on. We got lack of parental education, lack of emotional support, lack of involvement. Remember, in these body paragraphs, I want experts. 4 would be ideal, but at least 3 for you to pass. So if you don't have 3 different sources in each of these body paragraphs, the paper won't pass. And I want statistics peppered all over the place. I want studies, longevity studies, case studies, and analysis, logic, details, subject-specific language. And then finally, in your conclusion, and you can give me 3 or 4 inferences. Everybody, every single student can have as their first inference more research. That's the cheap, easy, more research. And for me, a second inference that you would find, I speculate and anticipate, in a journal article on this topic would say we need to initiate policies to diminish dropouts, such as blah, blah, blah. And thirdly, we need to have more tolerance and respect for the students. In other words, if there's discrimination, for example, going on, in other words, if the student does not feel a sense of well-being, they're going to tend to leave. First, they're going to miss a little class, they're going to miss more class, and then they just eventually leave. And this is all very logical. And a fourth inference would be we need more support, particularly for struggling students. Uh, and this is important because a student may struggle for a period of time and then not struggle anymore. I certainly know this from experience in my own family as well as in my students. Struggling may only be very, very temporary, but there needs to be support there. I would very much like you to have a couple journal articles handy. I may quiz you about, say, what source do you like the best so far? What has been the most powerful? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I seriously am not. I'm trying to get a sense of what the most recent research. I'm really learning from you. You know, this is all corroboration. I'm learning from you what the most powerful research is say about student dropouts, and where do they focus on the cause. So again, be on time, bring something to take notes, look at those samples carefully, and do the best you can based on the sources. You should all have a few sources by now. You have the source for the discussion thread 4, you have the source for the critique, and then we need book and dissertation. And again, we're going to certainly put a premium on the recency. Absolutely no websites, none, and you're only allowed to go to subscription services. I'm going to be a real blue meanie about this, and we're all going to learn our MLA so we don't have these cluttered up paragraphs with the kitchen sink every time you cite, so it's not awkward and clumsy. I will be able to instantly look at your works cited page and determine exactly what that source is. And then we need to kind of tidy up our formatting, double spacing, and some of you need to learn how to indent, and all these kinds of things that I was more generous on the value paper than I will be on the fact paper. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Thanks so much.